Stephanie, and this is my channel, Theni's Thoughts. Welcome back to myself, as well as to you. Hello. It's been a hot minute since I filmed, so I apologize for any awkwardness. I don't know how this is going to go. It's been a while. Feels weird. I'm not doing my whole setup because I just don't have the space for that today. So I decided to just do some videos from the chair. And you might get more of those for the future. We'll see. I forgot how awkward filming is. So first off, I'm going to start, since it's been a hot minute. I have still been reading things. Reading has not stopped. Reading is my life. So reading things has still happened. I've just gotten a little bit more, much more mood reader and not sticking with TBRs whatsoever. Like, I sort of tried to. I did read some things in July, so I figured what I'd start off with is just start off with what I've read so far as like a catch-up. So I'm going to start with July, and then I'll do a separate video for August, and then eventually I'll get to September, because here we are. I'm filming this at the end of September. This is probably not going to be posted until well into October. We'll see. Let's go from there. And so just kind of catch you up on what because I've been reading good things, and I want to talk about them, obviously. So here we go. We'll start with July wrap-up. I ended up reading 13 things. My reading got really slumpy, and I stopped filming, and all the things happened all at the same time. I read 4 books for the historical romance readathon that was happening in July. Yeah, that was so long ago. And that was hosted by Jess of Peace Love Books, Lisa from Remarkably Lisa, and Lacey from Lacey Book Lovers. I think I did a TBR. If I did, I'm going to link it up here, and it has all the details of the readathon if you want to look at it. The first book I ended up reading was Olivia and the Masked Duke by Grace Calloway. That was the group read. And I read it as an ebook. I rated it 3.5 stars. This was about Olivia and Hadley. And this was my first time reading Grace Calloway. She's an indie author and does historical romance, which I didn't really know. I thought like historical romance was really easy to break into, but there's a lot of indie authors that do historical romance, which is fun to find out. This was age gap. There is an age gap between these two characters. Kind of like kink, a little bit taboo because of the age gap. And there's like, she was a child basically as he was an adult. So if that's not your thing, then be forewarned of that. But, and I think he's like the dad's best friend, if I remember correctly. So yeah, I really liked it actually. I thought it was really good. It was steamier than I think regular historical romance was, probably because it's an indie author, and that's what kind of made it fun. So I really liked them. It was so dense though, because they literally call themselves, I think the series is called Secret Society of Charlie's Angels or something, or a Charlie's something. It's Charlie's Angels retelling. They're going after, or not retelling, not straight retelling, but like it's like inspired by Charlie's Angels, because it's Charlotte, the main like matron woman, takes in these 3 young girls who are mostly wallflowers and gets them into helping her. They basically work as like a secret society for helping women investigate cases, because private investigators usually don't take women seriously, so Charlotte does, and the girls help her with that. Which I totally didn't even realize until like maybe over halfway in the book. I was like, this is Charlie's Angels. Like, I just made this connection. So that kind of made it fun, because there's like a little bit of a mystery type of aspect to it. Olivia is young, but I found her kind of annoying and a little immature, and because her reasonings for not telling Hadley things is weak, and Hadley like has some serious trauma going on from his past relationships. And I also love to see that there was, I wrote that I like the fact that he was a sober hero. I thought that was interesting. So, but she kind of bothered me. I did not love her, but I liked them, and they worked, and that was okay. And I liked the writing style, so I definitely want to check out more from Grace Calloway. I really enjoyed it. Next, I did an audio of Falling into Bed with a Duke by Lorraine Heath. That's my first time reading Lorraine Heath as well. This I rated 4 stars. It was about Minerva and Ash, and it's a spinster romance. Minerva is much older and is considered on the shelf. And I just really liked less steamy, but I really liked the connection between these two. She is interested in anthropology, I believe, and Ash has like gone on tours and brings back things, and so that's how they kind of start their interaction with themselves. But they actually originally meet in a sex club. she goes to a sex club. She tries to lose her virginity because she's like, I'm a spinster. I'm never going to lose my virginity. So why don't I just take it into my own hands? And I love that for like an independent woman. I love Minerva. I think she really made the story for me. For being placed in a sex club, I thought it was kind of tame. I wanted a little bit more spice. It was still really enjoyable though. I actually really, really liked the characters in this one. And I was interested in, I think Ash's friend has his own book and different in the rest of the series, and I was interested in his character. So yeah, so I really like the characters, less steam, but still really enjoyable. And the audio was excellent. The narrator did a really good job. I read as an ebook The Madness of Lord Ian Mackenzie by Jennifer Ashley. This has gotten recommended on so many different videos that I've seen for an autistic hero, which I was really, really wanting to read. So I finally was like, I'm going to commit to it. I'm going to read it for Historical Romance Readathon. And I didn't know what to expect. I feel like it had been super, not hyped, but I feel like a lot of people have read it and talked about it already. And Autistic Hero Rep has been emphasized a lot. I read it. I really, really enjoyed it. I rated it 5 stars. It was like more like 4.5, but like I enjoyed it so much, I'm kind of rounding it to 5, which I do sometimes. And this is about Ian and Beth. And it's not directly stated, because obviously this is historical romance, so autism wasn't diagnosable back then. They didn't know that that was a thing, or they didn't have a name for it. Although autism was definitely a thing. People had it. It just wasn't, those usually family members were in institutions, or they were just sent out to the field and work the field. It was not discussed and often enough, and it wasn't something officially diagnosed. It was just like a slap on a label of crazy, and that's what you got. He's depicted, though, it's very clear that he's being depicted as autistic. I will say that I can't speak on the autism rep because I am not autistic, but I will say I think I still enjoyed it, and I thought Ian was a really great character and very well fleshed out. But definitely look at trigger warnings, because he is in an institution for a time, and he does talk about that. And there's a little bit of backstory about his father putting him in an institution. So just be aware of that. It was very steamy. Beth is actually being pursued by someone else. She's a widow. And Ian meets her, and she's hanging out with a guy that Ian doesn't like. And Ian meets her, and he's like, I absolutely must have her. And he pursues her really hardcore, which I liked. I like a hero that like really wants his woman, and he goes for her from like the first day that they meet, which I loved. I loved also the Mackenzie brothers, because Ian is one of the Mackenzie brothers, but there are several of them. So I was really interested in all of their stories. I thought it was very interesting. Again, I'm not autistic, so I can't say how good the rep was or not. I will say it read a little bit to me kind of as a little bit of a stereotypical autistic rep, like things that we're familiar with. A little bit almost Rain Man-like. Less so of like mumbling and talking in words, but like he's good at math and he's good at numbers and he cheats in gambling because he can keep track of those things. That read very Rain Man to me. So I feel like it worked on those stereotypes, which isn't a bad thing. It doesn't mean that that kind of autistic person doesn't exist. But just be aware of that. It might rely heavily on that. At least it did for me. I still very much enjoyed it because I still really liked Ian and his connection to Beth. And I liked Beth a lot too. She was very compassionate, understanding, and worked with him really, really well. So I really enjoyed it. I was really surprised how much I enjoyed it, actually. And I really liked the writing style too. And it made me really interested in seeing more about the rest of the brothers. Next, I did an audio that was Duke of Pleasure by Elizabeth Hoyt. This is from the Maiden Lane series. This is book number 11. And I've read several books in the Maiden Lane series, but it's been a while since I've read them. And I was really interested in this one because it was about Alf. Alf is a girl who's pretending to be a boy who lives on the streets. She's pretending to be a boy to be safe on the streets, but she also works as like an informant. And you've seen Alf in like a couple other books. And so I was really interested in Alf getting her own romance. So when I saw someone comment about it or talk about that book, it was like, I need to read this one. This one sounds really interesting to me. So I skip around in Maiden Lane series. I do not read them in order. And what was very delightful is that I think I skipped like 2 or 3 books in reading this particular one. And I felt like I didn't really miss a beat. So that was great. I was like able to jump back in, and it was highly, highly enjoyable and a lot of fun. So this is about Hugh. the Duke of Kyle, and Alf, a little bit of a mistaken identity. So she is one of the big things of the Maiden Lane series is the Ghost of St. Giles, and she is a female Ghost of St. Giles, which is the only female Ghost of St. Giles that there's been. And I'm a big fan of the Ghost of St. Giles storyline that they have in and there's been several people that have played that character in protecting the streets, like a vigilante thing. I don't know, maybe it's my love for Arrow type TV shows. Anyway, I love getting back to the series. Sexy, steamy vibes, spy vibes, and just there's a really great connection with Alf, and Hugh has 2 kids, and Alf just really, really connects with them really well. And sometimes certain authors can't really pull off romances with kids, but I really like these kids, and I really like their connection with Alf, and I thought that was really done well. All this 4 stars. It was great. I had a great time. Definitely, I think there was they already showed who was going to be in the next book, and I'm kind of looking interested in that one, so I'll probably read a couple more from that series. I think it only goes up to 14 books, maybe? I don't have it anymore. I brought this back to the library because it was a library book, but next I ended up reading a physical book, and so those are the 4 books that I read for Historical Romance Readathon. Ta-da! Moving on to other things that I read. So next I ended up reading Fangirl, the manga, which was volume 1. This was adapted by the book that was made popular by Rainbow Rowell. I didn't write who the manga artist was. And this was a physical book that I got from the library. So if you saw I did like a library bookstore vlog. I can link it up here. That was where I got that. And you can check that out if you want. It's been a while since I read the book, but I know it's controversial. Rainbow Rowell has her issues. Just be aware of that. But I really liked Fangirl. Fangirl read only because it sounds, I wasn't as awful as Kath was, but I was very, very, very introverted like Kath during my college years. So it felt like my college journey as well. So I liked it for that. And I really related to that. So I thought the manga was really great. I thought the art style was really well done. It followed the story really well. Definitely want to check out volume 2. I think it almost reads the manga almost reads Kath better. She's less whiny, less selfish, less annoying, because she is all those things, especially in the beginning. I still really enjoyed it. If you want to check out Fangirl but not necessarily want to read the whole novel this is definitely a good adaptation. I definitely want to check out volume 2. I'm not sure when it's coming out. Volume 1 came out, I want to say last year. So volume 2 is maybe next year. They didn't have a release date when I last checked, so we'll see. But I'm definitely would be low-key interested in checking it out. Next, I read another manga that was Manly Appetites. This was volume 1. And this is by story and art by Mito. And it's the secondary title is Mingishi Loves Atsu. And this is a boy love manga. This was my first boy love manga, which I hadn't read yet. I know that they're very popular, but I hadn't read and hadn't checked out. I rated this one 3.5 stars. It's really cute. I love the art style in this. I love this plus size hero. He's so grumpy, and this guy's just a sunshine, and there's a really slow build between them. They're very, very too oblivious, about each other. He secretly hates him. He thinks that he's this too good looking guy who does too much, and he loves this guy and constantly makes him food and brings him treats, and Atsu's like, why is this guy bringing me treats? And he's just like, you're so adorable, Atsu, and I love you. And but they are just over each other's heads. They're not getting each other. So there's a little bit of a slow build. The pacing was a little bit rough for me, but they're also really, really cute. So I already bought volume 2, so I definitely want to eventually read that one. And it's just cute. It was delightful. It was a fun boy love manga to start off with. So, and then I went back into my Ruby Dixon. Went back into the Barbarians. I spent Barbarians because this is what I do. I actually found my library, Libby added, because of the boom of book talk and I Spy Librarians getting huge, they've added a whole, I only had books 1 through 4 or 5 that I had on my audio for Libby. They've added up to, I think, 14 now. And I am stoked because I love listening to them in audio. I think the narrators that do them are excellent, and I have a lot of fun with that. So I ended up listening to them on audio. So first I listened to The Barbarian's Touch by Ruby Dixon. This is Iceland Barbarians book number 8. This is about Lila and Rokan. And this is I really was low-key interested in this one because it was a deaf heroine. And she's had her cochlear taken out. The aliens who captured her took out her cochlear implant, which means she's completely deaf, as opposed to cochlear, you can usually hear and process sounds. So, and this is much more of a slow burn because of the fact that the ability to communicate. I rated it 4 stars. Rokan was so sweet and patient. He was a doll. He was so sweet with Lila. It was precious. Lila ends up being kidnapped by one of the other aliens who really wants to have a mate. So he ends up kidnapping her, and that plays into what happens. And Rokan realizes that Lila's not there and goes and saves her. And he's desperate to communicate with her. Which is absolutely beautiful to see, because since I work with deaf people, no one's desperate to communicate with them. I mean, there are some people who are, but like, it's usually the deaf person who has to accommodate the hearing person. Like anyone with disabilities, usually there's a mismatch. Him being so desperate to want to communicate with her and communicate in her language was just really something beautiful to see, that I loved, that I really connected with. Granted, I'm not deaf, so I can't give anything on the deaf rep. I will say I had an issue with how AS American Sign Language was represented, because there's a part where she feeds into the machine that grants languages that you know about in the books, feeds into the machine the signs for words. The thing is, American Sign Language, the way that I think of American Sign Language is that it's not based on words, it's based on meanings. So there's ASL a sign can mean several things depending on the several ways that you sign it. And that depends on your face, depends on how you do the sign. Like, you can run, or you can run really fast, or you can run really slow. Like, it's all dependent on how you do it sometimes. So, like, the fact that she fed in those signs in the machine, I was kind of like, yeah, and she translated it to words, but, like, several words actually mean the same things. And that's hard to convey in, like, doing, like, a dictionary of ASL. Like, ASL dictionary is, like, kind of difficult to decipher sometimes. That was like, she did that, and she took her like a few weeks, and then it was done, and everyone will suddenly be fluent. And I was like, I don't think it works that way. There's like a little bit of a learning curve here, regardless if you put it all because there's just so much variation with what you do physically with your body. Yeah, that's me being nitpicky, just because I'm familiar with the language so well, and otherwise it was okay. But I thought the heroine herself and the couple between the two of them, dynamic with them, was great, and I enjoyed that part. I went right into the next book because it's very closely connected with each other. This is also an audio. This is Barbarians Taming by Ruby Dixon. This is Iceland Barbarians book number 9, and this I rated 4 stars as well. This is about Maddie and Hassan, and Maddie is Lila's sister. Maddie's hearing, but is fluent in American Sign Language, and she's a plus-size heroine. And we have a virgin hero, which, as you know, I love a virgin hero. And Hassan is the guy who kidnapped Maddie's sister in the previous book. Which is why it relates so well to that. So they end up kind of being outsiders, though, and they kind of bond over their loneliness and end up being really sweet. Kind of starts as a friendship with benefits kind of thing, and then it progresses from there. So it ended up being really a lot sweeter. I thought it was going to be a little bit more antagonistic, because Maddie is very in-your-face antagonistic type of character, but it wasn't. It actually, like, really, there was something actually very sweet about the two of them, and I enjoyed that. Also, the series, even though I'm in book number 9, the series continues to impress me with its world building, and I won't say why I say that. I won't go into why, but I am continue being impressed, and it's still a lot of fun, and there's still one more character. I'm still reading them. There's still one more character that I really want to know their story. And then after that, I don't know if I'm going to get into book 20. I don't know if I'm going to get that far. We'll find out. Maybe I will. Okay, next. Oh, this is going to be a surprise. This is going to be one that a lot of people are going to be familiar with. I finished the Shadow and Bone series. I read Ruin and Rising. by Leigh Bardugo. So this was a big one to finish. So this is the third book in the Shadow and Bone series. It is the final book in that trilogy. I won't try to give too much away because it's the conclusion of the series. But essentially there's Alina, there's Mal, there's the Darkling. I rated it 4.5 stars. I thought for a YA fantasy conclusion, I thought it was good. I liked it. This was probably one of my more favorite books out of the series. I thought the pacing was better. I thought there was a really interesting twist there was a couple different twists, but this one there was a twist regarding something that they were searching for. I thought that was interesting. I thought the battle was anticlimactic. I always think the battle is anticlimactic, though. I feel like that's an ongoing thing with me in these trilogies. Like, the battle is always like, that's it. So this was definitely one of those. I thought it ended satisfyingly. I enjoyed it. It was a good time. I really liked it. I really liked the series. I definitely think I can see why it's a beginning series. You're just getting into the world building of the series, of the Grishaverse, and I'm excited though to continue with the rest of the series and see how it builds on that and builds on the world building. But I still liked how it all ended, and I liked how it all came together, and yeah, I had no complaints. It's fine. It's fun. It's like fun and light, and it's not something to be taken super seriously, and it's a good time, and I enjoyed it. I definitely want to continue and do Six of Crows next. I know that's a huge, huge favorite. And also, I think out of all these characters, Alina, everyone discusses Alina, Mal, and Darkling, but Nikolai's the best one, by far. He was my favorite. I'm sticking by that. Alina, Mal, and Darkling, I do not care. Nikolai I care about, and I absolutely love him. And so, he's the only one I care about. And yeah, that's how I feel about it. So, also, there's a short novella at the end of my copy of Ruin and Rising that was Demon in the Wood by Leigh Bardugo. It's like a prequel to the rest of the series. It's about the Darkling as a boy. And I rated it 3 stars. I thought it was really underwhelming. I didn't really care for it. I thought it didn't really add to the story. Maybe I didn't get it. I don't know. I just didn't think it was that great. And not really the story part of the story I would wanted to see from him. So it was a novella. It wasn't great. I didn't really care for that. But everything else was fine. Maybe because I didn't really care about the Darkling. No, the Darkling's still sexy. I can get the sexiness of the Darkling, but I don't know, his novella wasn't that great. Next, I did an audio. This was Beyond the Highland Mist by Karen Marie Moning. I rated 2 stars. I'm not gonna, oh god, I could go into this book but a lot about how much I didn't really care for it. I'm gonna try to keep it as brief as I possibly can. This is an old, 90s, I think, romance, if I remember correctly. It was part of my romance book club that read it. So it was the main couple we focus on is Adrian and Hawk. And there was a love triangle with fairies and time travel. And I don't know about other books by Karen Marie Moning. I know she's like a favorite. I know she has a really popular, I know this particular series is really popular. I can't remember the name of it. I think it's a Highlander series or Highland series. And I think she has like a vampire series that's really popular as well, or a paranormal series that's really popular. And maybe her writing styles got better because this is one of her first books, is what we found out when we were doing the romance book club. But man, the writing was a hot mess. The pacing and the plotting, and then there was too much in the soup. There was way too much going on, and it was not tasty. I just didn't really care. I didn't even care about these characters. He was used as what everyone wants to sleep with, and so then Adrian not wanting him was a big turn on, but then it was okay, but now you just want a conquest. But no, he actually cares about her, but why? I don't even know. And she's time traveled. There's the why of that is really the mechanics of that is just really confusing. It's just fairies can apparently just time travel anyone that they pick. They're oh, you're going back in time, or you're going forward in time. I guess, I don't know. The fairies' powers were very vague. The fairies' reasonings were very vague. There was just lots of things happening, lots of things going on. And maybe it was her first book, and maybe her writing style got better. I don't know, but I do not want to read another book of hers, at least for a while. But because I think I'm done. I don't think I want to go back. So I rated 2 stars. It wasn't terrible. I thought there was still some good scenes. I thought there was there was one steamy scene that I thought was great, but other than that, I was just and there was also a fairy that was into her that I think he inappropriately touched her when she was sleeping or something, and that was just a really no-go for me. I don't know. I don't know. There were so many issues that I had with it. I'm just going to move on. It wasn't, I won't say the writing was super, super terrible. I think it was just the plotting of it was the problem and the character's development was the problem, but the actual writing of it wasn't bad, if that makes sense. That's why it's more of a 2-star, but I was not a fan. Next, I listened to the audiobook of The Road Trip by Beth O'Leary. This is about Addie and Dylan. Oh, this was another rough one. I ended up rating it 3 stars. I put 2.5 question mark. I don't know if I don't know what I put it down. I think I put it still down as 3 stars. So there's 2 stories happening in this particular story. Addie and Dylan are on a road trip separately with friends, and they end up having to combine their parties into one car to go to this wedding of a mutual friend of theirs. And so you have the present day of that happening and Addie and Dylan reconnecting. And then you have what happened to them in the past, because this is a second chance romance. And I like Beth O'Leary. She did The Flatmate, which was one of my favorites from last year. And she also did The Switch, which was really, really cute. And I thought that was still really good. I thought the audiobook was excellent. I will say that. The story, though, there is trigger warnings for sexual assault. There is a scene of that and stalking. Addie and Dylan in present day, I liked the story. I liked the story of them getting to the wedding. I liked the story of them reconnecting, and their conclusion was still really cute. I hated everything about their past history. I thought their relationship sounded very toxic, and there was a whole thing between Addie and Dylan's best friend. I can't remember his name. There was a huge issue between them and Dylan's best friend created a lot of the toxic environment that was between Addie and Dylan, and it was just, I really had a hard time with liking their past history to actually root for them in the present day. I liked them in present day, but I didn't know if I actually bought into their happily ever after, because I was like, you guys have a lot of baggage and bullshit to go through, and it's bad. It got almost a little bit too dark for me, at least for something that I think that should, with Beth O'Leary, usually the last 2 books were, had darker themes, but mostly still pretty light, but this one got a little bit darker. It seemed like the tone was off. Their past romance was really dark, and their present was really light, and I just felt like there was an imbalance there. Again, I did like the audio narration. I thought the narrating was excellent, and it made it engaging, and I was right listening to it on a road trip, and it helped the road trip go by really, really fast. And some people didn't like this, but there's a whole situation about a character named Rodney. I won't go into why. I won't go into how. A lot of people I read in the reviews didn't like Rodney's character for reasons and how he came into play. I thought the Rodney situation was hilarious. So that's me. I give it an extra stars for that. Compared to how much I liked her last 2 books, this one was a little bit of a disappointment and just seemed a little bit off for me. Next, I listened to the audiobook of Instant Karma by Marissa Meyer. This is a contemporary YA. This is about Prudence and Quint. And this is also a slow burn and rivals to lovers, I would say. They are lab partners that are forced to work together, and they didn't do very well, or they got like a C grade on their last assignment that is due. And Prudence, who is very much a stickler of wanting to get good grades, kind of forces herself to work with Quint over the summer, much to his chagrin. He's not very happy about that. And briefly, Prudence also gets this karma superpower. So she sees incidents that are happening that are unfair, and then she grants instant karma to them, which can have mixed results. Interestingly enough, that premise was heavily emphasized in the synopsis, but it actually plays a very low-key part in the actual book, which I thought was interesting, and I could see why some people would like that and some people wouldn't. I really liked the build-up between these 2 characters. I liked Prudence and Quint. I thought Prudence was a very difficult character to like. She's considered, a lot of people did not like her as a heroine. And that goes into a whole theory I have about like female characters being bossy and how they can make them unlikable. And I kind of hate that. Like, I don't even want to... Women can be bossy and they can be unlikable, and that's fine. That can still be a good character to read. Thank you very much. I don't want to... There was a lot of reviews that I really was just like, that Prudence was getting way more hate than she deserved. I think because she actually developed. Like, I can take an unlikable character. I can take an unlikable character who develops and changes and grows, and she definitely does. I think that's why I was able to. I found her entirely obnoxious for like the first half of the book. I was like, this chick, she just no, she's I do not like her whatsoever. But as she grows and as the story continues and as her relationship with Quint develops, she becomes less narrow-minded and she grows from it, and her character really develops really well, and I liked it for that. And I also like, yay, character development and the fact that characters grow. That was always great to see, because we as people do the same thing. I enjoyed it. Again, the audio narration was excellent. I rated it 4 stars. The ending was a little bit meh ending that I didn't really care for, and then like the reveal was very like predictable, and Prudence, for how smart she was, she should have figured it out way sooner. The ending wasn't really it for me, but the build up between the two of them, Prudence character's development, which it's a YA, as teenagers you change all the time, so it fits that. I found it really enjoyable, and I really ended up liking it a lot more than I thought I was going to. That's what I ended up reading for July. There you have it. So, to wrap up, I ended up reading 13 books. 4 of them were physical, 2 were ebooks, and 7 audiobooks. I listened a lot this month. And we have 1 5-star, 7 4-stars, 4 3-stars, and 1 2-star. So it was a great reading month, actually, and I was really bummed that I didn't get to share it until now. I had a great reading month, and then got super slumpy after that, and then I didn't get as high at my reading numbers as I had hoped. But still a good reading month, still had a good time, and now you know what I read for July. There you go. Let me know if you've read any of these books, and if you liked them or what your thoughts were. I would love to know. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to see more bookish things from me, please subscribe and hit likes and bells. I would really appreciate it. I'm hoping I'm going to get more into a more regular schedule here for the next several months, so cross fingers that will be happening. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you again soon. Bye!